Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb Deloach, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. Ty Crowden. Ty, welcome back.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Ty is an assistant coach for the Jackson track team. Very, very successful season. Guys coming off the state finals just a few weeks ago now at this point in time of recording. Jackson had a lot of success, man. It was just it was a great year for you guys out there on the track.
We had a lot of fun. Had kids that worked really hard in the off season and kind of reaped the reward of it throughout the season. So we had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, we can just start there at the end a little bit. You guys, guys' side especially had a really, really big showing. You have no secret. You have two kids that are about as fast as anybody we've ever seen in Southeast Missouri, Barrett and Blaine Reagan. That'll help out any in any team total or any individual event, how they finish. But, I mean, you guys had a dominant state meet all the way through the postseason. You just had kids in all events across all disciplines. Obviously, you focus more on the running side of things. But, I mean, that state meet, you had kids everywhere competing at a high level, really competing to finish on the podium in every event.
Yeah, absolutely. We had several, across different events. And, you can go into the state meet and look at the rankings and see kind of where kids are expected to finish. But at the end of the day, you just got to show up and do it. Put your foot on the line or get in the ring and throw. And we had kids that really stepped up and they did a good job on that day. Yeah,
and it was, this time last year I had you here. We were talking about a really successful season. You had guys like in that state meet, Blaine Reagan was a state champion. He ran 47.05 in the 400. Unbelievable. He also finished 6th in the 100. His brother Barrett got 4th. He was also sub 48, which is crazy. The 4x1 was in the final. There was a lot of girls across, distance. Amelia Fox and pole vault, Emmy Gross in throwing. She performed really well. But, you and I talked about there were some guys, especially, Blaine, Barrett, et cetera, like these guys who were performing at a really high level. But, as a coach, you knew that there was a step that they still could take, and you kind of saw that flesh out here this season.
Yeah, absolutely. We knew we could still, make some progress, and I knew there's several that maybe didn't do as good as what they wanted to at the end of the season last year, and they kept that on their mind as they worked in the off season, and were kind of able to flip the script a little bit this year when we got to state meet.
Yeah, and as a coach, how does that go? And you were, you experienced as an athlete too. I mean, competed at a very high level. So you expect when you see a kid that comes in this case, as freshmen at a high level, hey, they're going to, in running, let's say, Barrett was like 49 as a freshman. You're like, hey, he could be in the 400, could run a 48 or a 47. And by the end of this, like it could be somewhere crazy. But a lot of times it doesn't necessarily work that way in high school where it's super just linear. Like you're just boom, 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 getting bet. Like a kid scores 6 points a game as a freshman. That doesn't mean they're going to be scoring, 18 by the time they're a senior. How do you kind of balance that expectation but keep pushing those kids forward whenever they have that potential in there?
Yeah, it can be challenging, and the answer is probably different depending on each kid. In general, I would say expectations can be a thief of joy. And so I try, we all make goals.
Yeah.
Before every season, kids make their goals, what they want to do in each event, how they want to grow in track and outside of track, areas of their life they want to grow in, relay goals, goals with school, anything like that. So we have goals, but when we start to set expectations of what I think they can be, then that puts a lot of pressure on them. And I just like them to run loose and run fast and see what happens. I have an idea in the back of my head that a lot of times I almost never share with them of where we can be at certain points in the season and things like that. But we really just try to focus on day by day, just keep doing what we know we need to be doing, and the results will work out.
Right. And you have guys that are going to work hard. I've noticed that more than anything. Like this group you have, a lot of the results obviously kind of bear it out, but these guys across all sports, I've seen just like huge leaps they've made, whether it is the Reagans, you had guys like Gage Parker in hurdles, a guy like Memphis Maddox, these kids that every time I see them if it's football, if it's basketball, if it's track and field. At the end of the day, I feel like with high school kids, that the buy-in to getting better is kind of the biggest obstacle to overcome.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. I would say absolutely from the kids, but from the parents, from the other coaches in the districts as well. I mean, the whole circle around these young athletes, I mean, everyone seems to buy in, and that support. There's a lot of schools, I've been at schools that have it. I've been in schools that don't. Yeah. But that definitely makes a difference in the success that the athletes are able to have at the end of the day.
Yeah. And you mentioned community. Obviously, the city of Jackson as a community, they do love, all athletics across the board. They show up, and it's a big part of the culture. But how important is it within the school itself for, coaches to be communicating with each other, that have kids that do multiple sports? You've got, keep mentioning like Blaine Reagan plays football in the fall. He immediately jumps into basketball. Then he's immediately over here with you. And then same thing with, Maddox and Parker and all these kids that they're playing multiple sports throughout the year. How important is the communication kind of within the school community, the coach community for you guys?
Yeah, especially with those athletes that do multiple sports. It's so critical. And we're thankful. We feel like we can communicate. And at the end of the day, each coach wants what's best for their sport, their own sport, but also we have to be able to step back and say, well, okay, what's best for the athlete? Yeah. And at different points in the year, that might mean different things for different athletes. But being able to just put ego aside and say, hey, here's what this athlete needs right now, and that's really huge.
Yeah. So get into it a little bit here. Remind me again. So what groups do you work with in track?
Yeah, so I do any sprinter that goes up to the 400, and then any hurdler that goes up to the 300 hurdles.
Okay, so guy and girl.
I'm sorry, male sprinters.
You just do
1, 2, 4.
Okay, guy sprinters 1, 2, 4.
If they only go up to the 2, they stay with Coach McDowell on the male sprinter side. Okay, and then male and female hurdlers, I go up to the 3s.
Okay, so yeah, and I from my point of view, it might just be because of how into it I was myself this past, last year, coming into this year. It felt like there was, as much as there can be, like track and field, I feel like a lot of times does get lost in the shuffle, especially throughout the year whenever you got football, basketball. But it felt like there was a lot of momentum carry over in the track team, just people being invested, especially like kids being invested in this year's, coming into this season, maybe springing off of some of the success you guys had at the state meet last year. Like, did it feel like participation, things like that, where like kids were engaged here pretty early on?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the state meet last year was such a good experience for multiple reasons. But one, a lot of the younger athletes that hadn't been up there, they got to go up there and have the experience. Okay, this is what state's like. This is what I can expect. And then now they want to get back to training a little bit. And when we get back up to state, now we're ready to kind of handle business, and we're not so shocked or nervous or anxious, anything like that. So, I would say that's a huge part of it. And again, just kids being willing to work, and parents being willing to get them to practice and things like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. If I do anything with this podcast, my only goal is to be like a propaganda machine to like make kids go out for track and field that are good athletes.
We appreciate that.
I just want all the fast kids to be out on the track. That's all I want. So to go along with that, this is a dumb question, maybe. Like, are kids getting faster? Are all the kids just faster now? Like, I just look at all the times. I mean, your kids, I mean, they just broke every record ever this year. But like here, Cape Central, Breon Clemens there, I think he is their all-time school record holder, I think, now in the 100 and maybe the 200. I think they have a Notre Dame, the Hudson Dennis kid he ran first kid ever under 10 or under 11 seconds there. Taraji Riley won a state title. Okay, like it's just all are the kids just all faster?
Kids are getting faster.
They're just faster.
Kids are getting faster. You can dive into different reasons or schools of thought on that, but at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie, and kids are getting faster.
It just feels like it's crazy. Every meet, it's like, oh, okay, so the time that would have won this race 10 years ago wouldn't have qualified for the final. Okay, that's great. Like, it's great. Like, I said that looking at looking at the 100, I guess I was probably talking about class 5, looking at the 100. I was like, you're not going to get in the final if you run, like, you have to be 10.9 or faster to get into the final.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's just mind blowing to me. Cause like I said, we had in my mind, like we had a standard, we joked about it earlier, talking about Brandon Wright. Whenever we were in school with him, he was the fastest kid in the 100, the 200, 400. And I went back and I looked at the state championship whenever he was a senior, when I was a senior, and it was a disgusting weather, by the way. We'll get to the weather here in a minute, talking about every year the weather is bad. But I think the championship time was like 11:03. It was at the highest classification was the winner, the gold medalist ran like 11:0, and I'm just like, this doesn't make sense.
That's still fast.
That's unbelievably fast. And all these kids are faster than that somehow. That's just like unbelievable. Like, is there, like you said, it can be whatever, something, I don't know, in the water, but it's got to be a little bit too of like training and the way I feel like maybe coaching's getting smarter than it was like throughout the years, the way you guys do stuff. Could you attest to that at all? You feel like?
I would say it's at least a piece of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, getting your best athletes out is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Genetics, training, nutrition, recovery. It all adds up. And then when you're seeing more and more of it on social media, right? So that kind of feeds into getting the best athletes out, when there's more coverage, or like when you're covering track and field, that's certainly helpful. And like, oh, well, this is being covered. This is a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Who's Barrett Reagan? Who's Max Maddox? Who's Brayon? So all those things I think definitely add up. But like I said, different philosophies behind it. Or reasons why, schools of thought. Bottom line, kids are getting faster.
Kids are getting faster. It's just, it blows my mind just looking at the time and stuff. It was unbelievable. So let's, I guess we can kind of dive into some of the individual stuff, things like that. So, I mean, the place you have to start is Barrett Reagan for you guys. I mean, 100-meter state champ. He's part of the 4x1 state champ team. He second in the 200. And that was a guy you and I talked about specifically last year. You're like, there's really something here. Mm. And if we get the next 12 months of like working it out and getting into it like all the time, getting deep into this, like something special could really happen. And I mean, that happened. Like it worked. whatever you were like, hey, if we get after the next 12 months with this kid, he can do some special things.
Those 12 months happened.
Yeah. I mean, I came out to Notre Dame the very first meet of the season. It was great weather at Notre Dame. That was a great start. That helped out a lot. It wasn't 45 degrees, but first meet of the season, he comes out. He runs 10.62. Significantly faster than anything he did last year in the 100. And then he got in the blocks, and I'm just like, that's not Barrett Reagan.
Looked a little different.
I'm like, this kid doesn't look like the same kid. Yeah. Like, I mean, it was a literal like transformation in a year. Mm. It was crazy. Like, so, I mean, was it just like getting it kind of into him, like, hey, you can do something special here?
Yeah, and I don't think I had to try very hard to get him to believe that. I think he believed it. It was just kind of directing the effort and doing the right things and just making it happen. Yeah. Yeah.
I was blown away that first meet. He comes out, A, like I say, he looked like a different kid. Then B, he runs 10.62, and I mean, A, that was what, second fastest I think in school history at that point. Like, yeah. So what? He had run, or Blaine. He run right around where Blaine was at last year, like 10.6.
Yeah, I think the Notre Dame would have probably been second.
Yeah. So I mean, immediately he jumps in. He's right there at the very top of the, he's near the top of the state rankings. He's near the top of the school record, and like at that point, I was like, is he gonna can he get faster from there? Like I was like, I mean, wow, this is an incredible start. Like, does it get better than this?
Yeah.
And I wrote down the times. This is just every meet he ran. He ran 10.62 at Notre Dame, 10.61 at Jackson, 10.44 at Parkway Central, 10.37 by the SEMO Conference, and then 10.30 at the in the state championship meet to break the overall state record. I mean, kids don't just get faster every single race like this. This is incredible trajectory.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was fun watching, and we were just glad to see. There's a lot of. I mean, the numbers kind of show there's a lot of work that went in, and again, just blessed to see the fruits of it for sure.
So in that state final, he was sitting first in the rankings. He had the fastest time in the state, right, at that point?
Depends how you look at it. Actually, how they seed everybody going into state is based on sectional times.
Yeah.
So with that being said, he was actually seated, I believe, 7th, and Blaine was 10th.
Yeah.
Wind, different factors and things like that. But at the time, yes, you're right. He did the 10.37 was the fastest in the state.
Yeah. So I mean, you knew what to expect, but then to go out and, I mean, he won the final. I mean, I think it was 10.5, 10.5 low was behind him. I mean, he won the race. He was ahead, like by the 50-meter mark. It was over.
It was
like
about a quarter second behind.
Yeah, it was about as dominant as you'll ever see in a state championship setting at that high of a level. And then, we talked about the 100. I mean, he came out and he did the exact same thing in the 200. I mean, he ran only a few 200s all year. He ran all of them to get through the state to the state final. But 21.36 at Festus. That was another situation where I'm like, all right, well, I've never seen a kid do this. Like, is he going to get faster?
That was out of lane 1 too, by the way.
Out of lane 1? Gosh. And then SEMO Conference, he runs 21 flat. That was once again, I'm like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That was a good one.
Nobody's going to get faster. Nobody can be faster than that. I'll never see a Jackson kid run. There's no way. Well, I'll never see a Jackson kid run under 21 seconds. And then by the time he gets to the state final, for the people at home, he got second place, and he ran 20.74, which just blows away anything anybody's ever done here or almost anywhere. I mean, that also, talk about a state final. All top three kids were all under 21 seconds. I mean,
they all broke the state record.
They all broke the previous state record.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. The kids are getting faster.
That was a fun one for sure.
That's an incredible final.
Yeah, we knew that was going to be a hot race.
So do you have this is his best race in your mind? Like, is there a best, does he have a race that you think is better than any of the other ones? At this point now you can say it because he's graduating now. Not like this year, but does he have 100, 200, 400? If you had to devote his life to one of those three, is there one you pick over the rest?
I don't know.
You know?
I would say his I'll say this. The strongest part of his 100 right now is his transition. And what that means is when we get block clearance, we come out of the blocks and then we slowly work up. He doesn't rush up. He really works through his transition. He's patient through it. And we got better with his top end speed for sure. But that transition is really kind of when you go back and watch that state race in the 100, it's when they get out of the blocks and then he starts to pull away through that that 10 to 40 meter range through there. That's the transition phase I talk about. And that's really solid for him. So I think he'd go whatever direction he wants to. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I would say 60 meters in college through the 200. He's got a shot to do very well in those.
Yeah. I mean, it just an unbelievable season. I mean, then you can't take away, the 400, he finished 47.83 PR there. I mean, once again, we talked about it before we started this. Looking at the Jackson records, there's 4 kids on here, 5 kids, I think was Weiger, you mentioned, that have run sub 50 that we have recorded at least. And Baird and Blaine just do it every time. They just walk on the track, and it's like the worst they can do is run a 49. That's not a question. It's just like, wow, that's fast. So then what went into not running the 400 after in sections?
We had a discussion of just where and this is with everyone across the board. So we just where everyone's priorities were, and Barrett made clear his focus was the 100 and 200. He believed he could do really well in those, and he certainly did. He was right. And just like Blaine said, his focus was, his priority was still the 400. So we definitely want to hear from the athletes. It's not really a situation where it's just, I say you're going to do this, so that's what you're going to do, because that's not fun for anybody.
Right.
So they put in all that work, and they should definitely get some say in being able to pursue their priorities, whatever those are.
Yeah, that's important. I feel like I guess we were probably at the tail end of it. People always talk about the olden days and things like that, how hard they were. Like, I feel like that's something that also goes into these kids performing at a higher level, is listening to the athletes. A kid says, hey, this is tight, such and such, like, you're not going to just go make him then go run another race where he's being super explosive. Like, that collaboration, I feel like, is something that maybe is a little bit newer for coaches and athletes, that relationship, but is probably about as important as anything.
And it's like you talked about a while ago, getting athletes to buy in year round, really. You have to have that it has to be collaborative.
Yeah.
If not, a dictatorship isn't something that's very easy or fun to buy into, especially, 12 months out of the year.
Right.
That. So, definitely want to hear from them on those things.
Yeah. So then you had a reigning state champion in Blaine Reagan also on the team this year. I'm sure it was maybe, I don't know if it was frustrating for him or what. Like, it took a while to get out there on the track. I put down his first race was at the end of March in the 400 at Festus. Coming out banged up early in the season. Did that, what effect did that have, like, on maybe on the training or just like his performance there, especially early on in the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if our athletes aren't healthy, we can't be fast.
Yeah.
We can only be fast if we're healthy. So we definitely had to just take things easy, get his feet back under him, get him loosened up a little bit. And he was kind of tying his hips. He had some groin stuff going on, things like that. So just getting him healthy was step one. And then at the end of the day, track season is not a very long season.
No.
So there's really only, especially if you're getting a late start, kind of like he did, there's really only so many things you can do to get him where he wants to be or needs to be. So, we feel like we did the best job we could have with the situation we were dealt with or with the hand we were dealt. So, that's kind of where we're on Blaine.
I mean, the progression was great too. I mean, he set PRs on the 100 and the 200. He went, 10-5. At SEMO conference. Okay, another Blaine-related question there in the state final. Do you think, this is just purely like a hypothetical, do you think if he was in the same race with Barrett, he would have run a hair faster than 100?
100 you're talking about. It's really tough to be in that slower heat.
Yeah.
We expected him to do well in that heat.
Yeah. Because he knows, like, he's probably the fastest kid in that out in those lanes, and then he's going to have to run his own race to get up there. But still, like, I think there is a little bit like mental side of it where, like, if you have somebody to chase, it makes you run
for
faster.
Sure. And those of you who don't know, typically, and at the state meet, you get prelims day one and then finals day two. Well, due to weather, we had to cut out all prelims basically day one, and we came back and everything was just ran as a timed final day two. And again, those entries were based on sectional performances. And so Blaine ended up drawing the slower of the two heats. And he kind of had to just go chase the clock. He didn't really have anybody pushing him. So that's definitely tough. Definitely tough. Would have loved to have seen him in the faster heat. But again, that's the hand you're dealt. You just got to go do the best you can with it. And he certainly did.
And you mentioned it. That had to be a kind of it looked insane there on the first day of what should have been the state track meet. The weather got crazy there when they had those kids out there running the poor 4x8 kids.
Yes.
Some of them I thought were going to just get washed away there into the infield. It was a tsunami out there for the first day of the track meet. Like, what was that like? Just being like, all right, let's get warmed up in the pouring down rain. Just kidding. Let's shut it down. Let's go. I don't know what was the schedule like as far as, because then the second day, I mean, even you had let's get out here. Nope, we have a delay for like 2 hours, something like that. Let's get back out here. What was that managing it like there at the state meet?
Yeah, just trying to keep everybody locked in. Hey, we've still got a job to do, and the big push for our athletes was, hey, everyone is going to handle this differently. This is a great opportunity for us to make a jump on maybe some athletes that are better than us that aren't handling this properly.
Right.
So just staying locked in, keeping their bodies ready to get back and compete. We viewed it as an opportunity to kind of make a jump on some people that weren't quite as responsible.
Yeah. And then what, I don't even, did you guys just all have to go in a gym or something like that whenever it did get delayed there the second day?
Yeah. So
how'd that work?
For the most part, everyone was on the bus.
Oh, okay.
All the teams went back to their buses. What we actually ended up doing is we went off, we found a park with a pavilion, and we got under that and allowed the kids to kind of get out and stretch and move around a little bit.
For those that haven't sat on a school bus in a while, sitting on a school bus is not maybe the greatest warm up for running fast.
Right. And we took a pretty decent amount of kids up there this year. So the bus was pretty full, and so we just wanted to make sure that it didn't feel similar to being on a 2-hour bus ride and getting off and trying to run your best.
Exactly. So there's the final. Blaine gets third in the 100, third in the 400, which once again, we talked about the 200 being insane. 400.
Oh, it was hot too. Yeah.
Insane. But the top two kids both ran under 47, both ran 46, and then Blaine runs 47:35, coming in third place. I mean, once again, that's a sentence that I just never thought would make sense in my brain, being like, it's 47:35, only third place. That's crazy, but also like,
and they're all coming back.
And they're all coming back. Exactly. Yeah, because it was the kid from Lee Summit West who put up crazy. He won the 200 as well.
He had an incredible meet,
insane meet, and the Lee Summit West team was the second fastest in the nation in the 4x200 or something like that.
In the 4x2 second. They were trying to make a push for that national record. I believe Duncanville out of Texas has it.
And then ahead of Blaine also was the guy that the person I feel bad for here is John Moss. That kid can't buy a break. Last year he gets caught at the tape by Blaine, literally beat him by I think 100th of a second. This year, a kid from Lee Summit West, Perkins, I think his name was, just had the season of a lifetime. Comes out there. John Moss is like, all right, I ran 47.0. That wasn't good enough. Now I'm going to run 47 or 46.8 or 9, something like that. Still gets clipped by the kid from Lee Summit West. Yeah. I feel bad for that kid.
That was a great race too.
Unbelievable.
Incredible athletes at it.
And and we talked about it. Blaine, it feels like just kind of ran out of runway for his progression in the 400. It took a while to start seeing the results. Yeah. He, by the end of the season, this is the postseason, he ran 47.7 in districts, 47.37 in sectionals, 47.35 at state meet. Yeah. Once again, it felt like, hey, if he would have started where he was probably by the end of the year, it's like, hey, this kid could have done crazy numbers as well here.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to just track is just such a short season. And, staying healthy is the biggest thing. And really, so you mentioned those two. You had Harrison Perkins and John Moss. Those athletes, they run throughout the winter. They run indoor track, and so they're really in a whole different spot in their training coming into this season. Whereas Blaine, was a big part of the basketball team. Had a great season this year.
Blaine Reagan's literally Blaine Reagan's out here guarding everybody's best player in all of Eastern Missouri, night in and night out, being 5 foot. We'll say 10. We'll give him 5'10" out here guarding 6'4" kids every single night, just trying to shut people down. Meanwhile, like you said, these kids are training for 12 months out of the year. And then you had another gold medal, 4x100.
Oh, that was a fun race.
I mean,
such a fun race.
That sentence, once again, is just something I never thought I would say, is Jackson wins the 4x100 at the highest classification in the state in boys track and field. Not me. Literally never me. I never would have thought that. And this is similar to what we were talking about time progression-wise. Let's look at this dip throughout the season. You start 42.30 at Jackson. 42:01 by SEMO Conference, and I think at this point you'd broken the school record. These were like all school record, like something like I think SEMO Conference broke the record.
I believe that's right.
SEMO Conference of 42:01 broke the school record, and then every round of the postseason you're just getting faster. 41:76, 41:46, and finally 41:18 at the state meet. That's our fastest time now, and I mean, a perfect race in the 4x1. I mean, talk about what relays are their own thing. I mean, because you see every year you can put together a super team. You see it every 4 years in the Olympics. Just because you have the 4 fastest people technically doesn't mean you're going to win a relay race. Right. So especially in the 4x100 where timing, your steps, the handoffs, like it all has to go perfectly, and it all came together beautifully there in that state meet.
It sure did. It was fun. Our message to them was, hey, just keep running fast, keep being available. You never know what's going to happen. We went into that race, I believe, ranked 3rd. Platte County was up there. Lee Summit was up there.
Yep.
And Rockhurst was like 100th of second behind us in the rankings.
Yep.
So kind of back to what I said a while ago, the rankings can be whatever. You just got to show up, do your job, see what happens, and it worked out for the Indians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, blazing fast time. So how much time, I mean, I know, I've been a part of track practice and things like that. How much time did you guys, obviously I'm sure once you got to the postseason it was a little bit different, but how much time do you devote to just working on the mechanics there and relays, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, a big piece of the times coming down is just the taper for each individual athlete, making sure they're as fresh as possible. Yeah. So that's definitely, you talked about 2 of the athletes, Barrett and Blaine, how their times were dropping. So obviously if their individual times are dropping, then the team times are going to drop in the relay also. But we certainly do. Coach McDowell does a great job with handoffs, video analysis and things like that, trying to stretch some people to pinch other people, and just be as efficient as possible and getting what we need to get done for the handoffs for sure.
Yeah, Jackson, 4x1 state champs, just blows my mind still to say it. Also, you mentioned you got to be technically sound because you guys were running near the middle of the track. The team on either side of you didn't even get the baton to their final leg. So, I mean, that is just, like you said, being available, doing your job. In relays, that is one of the few times in track where it really does become a team sport.
For sure. The athletes were really motivated for that one. Lee Summit is who we have several football players in our 4x1.
Yeah, they had both the Hatfield kids on the team. Yeah, absolutely.
I saw that. So there was some motivation there to try to get them in the 4x1. We knew that we'd have to run really well. But I was videoing the race, and as came around, Jalen Hampton came around 3rd leg. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't see anybody
like, I think we can do this. Yeah,
we got a shot, and you can actually hear me on camera, hear how surprised I was. But again, that was our message to the kids: just keep doing your job, handle the things that you can handle, and then see what happens.
Obviously, based on the people you have in the spots, it's going to also be kind of a dumb question, but what is the thought process? Obviously, you said Coach McDowell works with a lot of this, but what is kind of the thought process in the order that you run the kids in?
Yeah.
Once again, it helps when you have 2 of the 3 fastest kids in the entire state of Missouri starting and finishing for you. But what is kind of that thought process that goes into it?
Yeah, for sure. I promise there's data behind it.
Yeah.
I promise it's not, I feel like we ought to just do this. A lot of people are like, well, why don't you have Barrett as anchor, or why don't you have him as second leg, and things like that. Well, like I mentioned a while ago, Barrett could have a very great collegiate career in the 60.
Right.
I'm a firm believer that he was the best starter in the state this year, and so we felt confident having him come out of the blocks. We believed in him, and he really did his job well.
Yeah.
And
because that was the first thing whenever I'm standing there in front of the TV watching it. Like, all right, I'm like, okay, I know we're going to get a good start here, but by the time he hands it off to Memphis, he's made up the stagger on the guy right outside of him.
For sure. We know that Memphis does a really good job when he's relaxed. And so if we get Barrett with a great leadoff leg, and then we get it to Memphis just before the end of the zone there, and he's relaxed, that's when he runs his best. And so if we can if we can pick a couple guys off, on that first leg, then we really see Memphis' shoulders drop down. We see his body language relax, and he starts to really run fast that way. And then we get it to Hampton. Hampton does a great job running the curve. He stays tight at the curve really well. He's always consistent, taking off. As far as for his exchange, there's always a consistent exchange with Memphis and Jalen, and his job is just to get it to Blaine.
Yeah,
within reach.
Yeah, something you mentioned, it is like a mental thing. I don't know, like there's technical side of it, I know, but some kids just aren't very good at running curves, and some kids are better at it than others. Absolutely. Like, and you see that at like I said, at the national level, things like that. You'll see a guy or a girl. It's like, why are they in this race? Like they're not the third fastest, second fastest, fourth. Like they're up there, but they're probably the 10th, 15th fastest person we have. It's just like there is a technical aspect of like running a curve that it's like some kids just aren't as good at as others.
And then some of it is, how they run, mechanics, how they're built, if they're long or short or, things like that. So that's kind of our thought process there. We'd flirted with the idea of moving Barrett to second leg a little bit. Then we time 30-meter block starts. And so we did some math, and it was kind of a wash with what we decided was just to leave him there because it was a wash based on time and data that we had on hand.
Yeah, unbelievable. I was just yelling at my television, jumping up and down, just like all right. I was like, boom, Bear made up the stack. All right, good. I was like, great. I'm like, okay, great handoff, good. I'm like, good, Memphis, good. Okay, good handoff again. Okay, Jalen. I'm like, oh, that kid fell down. Oh, that kid fell down. I'm like, like you said, I was like, I think we're in first place. I'm like, Blaine has it. I'm like, oh, Blaine's not losing this lead. Okay. I'm like,
bring it home, Blaine.
I was just standing there like, yeah, all right, we did it. This is unbelievable. Yeah, that was 4x1 champs. It's just out of this world.
And even on the anchor leg of that, Blaine definitely had his work cut out for him. The Gormley kid from Lee Summit was anchoring that, who had a phenomenal season last year in the 100. So they had a kid that could move very well, and it definitely wasn't over when he got it, and he ran great. With the anchor leg.
And you talk about Blaine, going back to him a minute here, like having to, I'll never understand what winning in a state championship will ever feel like. But B, like the mental side of, he runs that race. He'd already run the 100. He runs a 4x1. He win, and then it's like, all right, dude, you've got like 20 minutes to go warm up, to get ready to go run the fastest 400 of your life to be in the top 3.
That's right. So it was definitely a challenge for him. It was especially unique because they were on a rolling schedule, and they ended up making the call. They said instead of 3 calls before each event, they said they were either going to do 1 or 2, I forget. But basically, it was a condensed. And so basically, they were saying once we make the call, you need to get to the check-in tent. Well, they had made the call, but Blaine was still waiting with the team to get up on the podium and whatnot. So I actually had to holler down that he had to go check in, and he was, I think, disappointed. But he checked in and was able to end up getting back on the podium with the team, but then straight from the podium, he had to get off and run to the starting line from the. It was.
He's like, oh, here's somebody hold my medal while I go run this race real quick. Yeah. I mean, just a super successful day. We mentioned some kids. Ryan Larry hits the podium at high jump and long jump. I mean, sticking there on the boys' side. Gavin Shin, Bryson Wessel both have big days. Throwing. Our 4x18 was part of the monsoon that first day as well. That was incredible to watch. The girls' side, really, really good on the field side of things. I mean, you have a girl like Kat Ellison who is just incredible. You can throw anything, apparently. Can just throw anything. Yeah. I mean, like that. I mean, that was another thing. Like seeing the production she did. I know once again, this is somebody you don't work with day in and day out ever, but I mean, having a girl that just goes out there, especially in local meets and meets like throughout the regular season, I mean, she's finishing top 2, top 3 every single time in discus, shot put, and javelin. People that aren't as familiar is like, it's you're throwing things. Those are all just insanely different things. Like, you're throwing something, but none of it's the same mechanics or anything. Like,
absolutely,
somebody like that, and those are things you've got to partake in doing some multi-event stuff too, right? Like, I mean, what, how impressive is it to have a kid that's so good at 3 different disciplines like that?
To compete at that level in 3 different throwing events like that, and like you said, they are so different. It really shows, an incredible amount of athleticism to be able to go from event to event and compete at that level. But also, I mean, a lot of focus, a lot of attention to detail, a lot of body awareness, things like that. Because there's different cues and things for each event, and to be able to execute those cues back to back to back, it's very impressive she's able to do that.
Yeah, and we talked just from maybe the outsider perspective of it. It may be hard to grasp even like how hard, like much work that was that she did. Like, because everybody's run at some some speed. Everybody's run at some point in their life, and how tired you are after running. Everybody understands that, but people don't understand like going out here taking. I think they did 4 throws with the kind of abbreviated schedule they did on the second day.
Yeah, so some events had already started prelims,
right.
So they finished out the prelim schedule. But the ones that hadn't started, they just went 4 throws.
But going out here, you have to. I mean, you talked about it with the races. I mean, she's got to make the time with the kind of condensed schedule. She's throwing 3 different things. Like, she's got 4 throws on these 3 different things, and to come out and compete at a high level in all 3 of them, it's just like that's next level.
Yeah, and you'd have to double check with Coach Sievers on that one. That's our throws coach, but I believe she had to warm up maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
just doing
with the delays.
So she'd warm up and then have to shut it down, warm up, shut it down. So just to be able to stay locked in shows incredible amount of competitiveness in her and
she's
drive. Yeah,
going to be competing in college next year, right?
Yeah, Louisville. I believe,
yeah, that's big time, very very big time. And a couple others I mentioned: pole vault, Lily Morningstar, and Amelia Fox. They both podium there in pole vault. And long jump, Brooklyn Williams. She finishes in 5th place there in long jump. I mean, also shout out to Lily Morningstar. I think it was a PR. Like, she made huge jumps, like going from just like throughout the postseason. It started out where it was like, I don't know what her prospects of was even being at the state meet to like, it's just like, boom, she PR'd in this meet, boom, she PR'd in this meet, and it's just like higher and higher every meet. That was very impressive to see.
I'll speak a little bit on Lily Morningstar just for a second. I was just talking about Kat Ellison and her just competitive drive and ability to stay locked in and overcome adversity. Lily Morningstar actually, they had to shut down pole vault day 1.
Right.
She had 2 misses and only had 1 attempt left when they shut it down.
Oh, wow.
So Lily went back to the hotel and went to bed that night knowing she had 1 attempt to get over that bar.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's very easy to overthink and freak out about. But she stayed locked in. She said, hey, I've got an opportunity, made the most of it, and cleared it and kept vaulting. So I mean, went the next day. It was very, very impressive. Yeah.
Like you said, going to bed being like, if I miss this, it's the difference between being 14th place and, continuing on being on the podium here. That's great. I didn't realize that. I didn't pay attention to that whenever she stopped there.
And that's she's also an athlete that she didn't come out at the beginning of the season.
Oh, really?
Deciding, hey, I think I'll do this.
Yeah.
I think I'll do it my senior year.
Yeah, you're all right at it.
And ended up making podiums. So that was cool.
Yeah, exactly. Go out for track and field.
Go out for track.
If you're good at anything, if you're a little athletic, go out.
Never know.
You can be good at anything. You might be good at throwing things. Who knows? You never know. Never know until you try it. But yeah, I mean, just an unbelievable team this year. Guys that I want to hit on the, you coach as well. Gage Parker, Memphis Maddox there in the 300 hurdles. A couple guys who just every single meet, it was just like, I was like, oh, well, I was like, okay, this kid's pretty good at 300 hurdles. All right, that's good to see. We haven't had somebody maybe at this level in a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Like, oh, oh wow, he's getting faster. Oh wow, you got faster. They just broke the school record, and then boom, they're here in the state meet here at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just seeing, I mean, the level they were at. And these are two guys that had they hurdled before then going into the season?
Yeah, Gage hurdled last year as a freshman. Did a really good job for us. I believe he ended the year, I forget if he was 42 range. I'd have to go back and look and see what he did last year, but definitely dropped down well this year. And then Memphis actually started hurdling, I want to say February.
Nice.
So
nice.
Yeah, it was kind of a situation we knew that we needed to fill a spot there, and called a couple guys in to look at the computer. And what we noticed was that in our sectional, 7 of the 8 that competed in our sectional last year were seniors.
Okay.
And then the one that was not a senior is Patrick Slack, who actually moved down to Class 4.
That's right.
So we knew that, there was some
that takes the state champion off the board.
Yeah, we knew there was.
You just knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
This kid doesn't fall down, he's going to win a state title.
Right. So, and Memphis looked at it, and I was expecting maybe some hesitancy of, let me think about it. He's like, no, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you sure? He's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. And so it was like fish in water. He just let him loose and cleaned a couple things up. But I mean, he took to it quick, worked his butt off, and ended up on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, going from never doing it in your life to 3 months later being on the podium.
Yeah.
Unbelievable athlete. But I mean, that's another example of, I understand both sides of the wanting to run track, not wanting to run track side of things for some kids. That it's like, yeah, he's a really good football player. There's a 99% chance he's going to go out and be a starter on the football team next year. And it's like, you have that, you're good at that. You can just devote your time to that. And then whenever the weather's nice, you could not be outside running your butt off every single day, running, repeat 300s or whatever the heck whatever you psychopaths do, running 300 hurdles. You could not be doing that. You could be whatever. You could go on your spring break, blah, blah, blah. I understand that side of it, but it's like, you're a kid that has this, high level of athleticism, like a Memphis Maddox. I call the football games, he had like 4 kickoff return for touchdowns. It's like, yeah, this kid's a monster. Like he can contribute somewhere that involves running fast, I'm sure. So just seeing that, like, hey, like you said, like, yeah, let's try this out. Let's get out here. Like, I want to commit myself to doing this. And then, being the school record holder by the end of the year is kind of just incredible.
Yeah, I think we probably got to double check the school record. I think what we have now is like 39-0.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like I think it's from
like translated down,
81
or translated up.
Yeah, 1981. I would say Steve LaChance.
Yeah,
but that's what we have. But I'm sure on athletic, they're
there's the highest ones on there. The 300.
Just both incredible workers. It's almost to the point is you got to say, hey guys, we got to dial it back a little bit because we might be doing too much. But just complete buy-in. I always stress to them, I was like, look, here's the deal. I'm not going to have you do any more than what's necessary to be as good as you can be.
Yeah.
And so once they hear that, I think it's kind of like, okay, well, as long as I know if I do this, but now what we do, I need it all out.
Right.
So I think that might help with buy-in, and they sure bought in, and like I said, great success. I'm excited to see, and they were both sophomores,
man.
So excited to see, the trajectory and where that ends up.
Yeah. Because these are guys, I mean, Memphis is on the 4x1 team as well. So, I mean, his trajectory there, and I don't know what, the plan is there behind the scenes or things like that, but I mean, he has potential to do a lot of things. Gage, same way. I know Gage, you threw him in on a few like 4x4s this year as well. Yeah. He looked pretty good in. So, I mean, these are guys that you could scale them up or down in different races. I think could be pretty successful.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, so there were a lot of other kids that, you get the highlights. Obviously, Blaine and Barrett go out there and they win their top 3. Barrett wins the state title. The 4x1 team wins state titles. But there's a lot of other kids you guys had this year that had really good seasons that, I was really impressed by. Sticking with people, I mean, you work with, I really liked on the girls' side, Kendall Leland, Bella Ivy. I know Kendall was injured coming into the season, I believe, or she missed out on part of the season, or something there with her.
No. She came in good. Just some we had to kind of get into the flow of the season a little bit to kind of see her time start to drop. But she ended up she'd stick. I think at the beginning of the season when the times weren't what she wanted them to be, she was very, very hopeful. She stayed. She continued to trust the process. And it'd be really easy to just kind of back. I was like, I put in all this work, and now I'm not seeing the fruits of my labor. But kept working, and ended up with some great PRs at the end of the season. Yeah. And Bella Ivy the same way. I think she had ran when she was younger. Yeah. And then actually just saw her in the hallway, and she introduced herself, said she used to run. I was like, why ain't you running now?
You're like, you should do that again.
Yeah. And said she thought she could do okay at it. I was like, well, let's find out. And she also ended up putting in a good off season and came out and had a really impressive season. Yeah, really impressive season. So.
Yeah, and once again, especially there are races, and the races that you specialize in, the hurdles, they are daunting in a way. There's a little bit of fear that's just built in there where, I'm having to run fast and jump over things at the same time. Like there is that inherent, kind of like mental danger you might have. Also 300 hurdles, incredibly exhausting. Also like everybody go run 300 meters as fast as you can, see how tired you are. And then take next time, go start over, run 10 steps, jump as high as you can and do that until you get to, the finish line again. I mean, tough races to do. But so, it does take a certain level of like real mental fortitude and like, hey, I'm gonna stick with this to stay with hurdles.
You gotta really get into it for sure. Especially after you go down a few times in front of a crowd. Really, you find out if you like it or love it. And so it can be tough. There's a lot more that can go wrong there than the standard 100, 200 race.
Yeah. And then you guys have both those girls are gonna be back as well next year, I believe, right? So you guys have a good group that's gonna be, potentially on the horizon next year. A couple other girls I mentioned earlier, Brooklyn Williams finished 5th in the state. I mean, she's somebody I wrote down she's on athletics. She's top 6 all the time in the 100, the 200. Her team on the 4x1. Mm-hmm. That team this year was number 1 on the 4x2 on there, and she's number 1 on the long jump all time on there by a foot. Yeah. Which I'm like, that doesn't sound like a big distance, just like if, your day-to-day life, a foot, is taking a step. But when it comes to jumping, if you're a foot better than everybody else, you're pretty dang special.
Pretty decent amount.
So just like having somebody like that, like I know you didn't work directly with her maybe as much, but somebody that you could describe is not as, it's not the most endearing term maybe. It's like a workhorse that's just like, you look on her page of events that she ran in her life, and it's like 50 pages long because it's like every meet. It's
very
like,
versatile.
Hey, go run the 100 and the 200 and the 4x1 and the 4x2 or long jump in there somewhere. Like she was out there going to compete in 4 races or 4 events. It felt like just about every time out.
An incredible career for Brooklyn. Always willing to do whatever she was asked to do, and at a very high level. You mentioned she's on that 4x2 school record team, long jump school record. Yeah. And so, just willing to help out her wherever she was needed. Yeah. And, I would say that about all of our athletes, they're definitely willing to help out, plug in wherever. We use the term little blue truck sometimes, little farm truck, just whatever you need, it'll get it done. And we definitely have a team full of those athletes who are willing to do that. Yeah.
And then finally, Beckley Guess, another girl that we had talked about before, maybe didn't finish the season the way it wanted to go, but I mean, PR is one of the fastest kids in school history in the 1, the 2, and the 4 to graduate like that. All taking a big jump. She ran last year for you, right?
I don't know if she got any races in last year or not. I don't remember off the top of my head.
But
she was injured for the majority of the season.
But just a huge jump to go, from that to being 12.5 at there by the time you get to Parkway Central, 26.3, and being 4th all time in the 400 as well, running a minute flat there for the girls is really, really impressive stuff. Just being able to do, once again, somebody that's out there, you're running 2, 3, 4 races every single day.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. She started to get a little bit banged up towards the end of the season. They dialed her back a little bit, but still was able to compete on those really, really successful relays.
Yeah. And the 4x2 went to state, made it to the state final there on that second day as well. So yeah, really, really good careers out of them. So one exercise that's maybe a bad thing to do here to look at is, so Barrett Reagan's going to your alma mater, SEMO's next season. So what is that transition like as a high school senior to then being the youngest person when you get to that D1 level?
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
as you go from kind of being the guy, to now you're just everyone's athletic, everyone's talented. So it's back to the grindstone, nose to the grindstone, and just got to keep working. It's kind of like we talked about on that delay when we were on the bus. It's like, everyone here at the state meet is good. But what little things can you do to give yourself the best opportunity, not to guarantee success, but just to create the healthy soil to where success can bloom. And so that's what it's going to be for Barrett. And I'm confident he's ready for the challenge. He loves a good challenge. He's very competitive. So I'm really excited to see him handle that. Yep.
And then, okay, here's the bad part of the exercise I wanted to say, which is it's hard not to be tempted to pull up the OVC championship final from this year.
I got you.
And maybe look, maybe compare apples to apples here. Something tells me that Barrett could potentially be pretty successful if, like you said, all those factors stay together. You keep competing at a high level. You keep pushing yourself, keep getting better. It's hard not to look at the times here, Ty, and be like, this kid has a chance to step in here and be pretty dang special even from day one.
Yeah. I'm very confident he has a chance to do that. Again, just handling the little things and seeing how things shake out. To be honest with you, I don't know the times off the top of my head and what things are looking like, but would certainly, my guess would be it'd be very competitive.
Yeah,
with even what he did this year.
Yeah, so it's exciting to see. And you mentioned you've got a lot of kids coming back. You have a lot of multi-sport athletes as well, especially a lot of these boys that are running for you. The Parker Maddox, Reagan, all these kids they're all multi-sport kids. Brock and Blaine are both 3-sport kids. So, what is how important do you feel like it is? You're a guy who you play multiple sports. What are the benefits for high school kids that are multi-sport kids?
There's benefits athletically, benefits socially, benefits, it's good to hear from different coaches, all those things. Just to be, especially when you're with a competitive group in each of those different sports, different individuals that can keep pushing you and driving you. It's big. It's big.
Yeah. So let's see. I think that's about all I got to talk about, got to cover here. I think I'm about out of questions, but I appreciate your time as always.
Yeah.
I thank you for coming out here late in the evening. For those that are watching, nobody knows that. It's currently 8:05 p.m. But yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. I enjoy watching your guys' track team. It's always, especially now, like I said, I ran back in the olden days. I got to watch some pretty good athletes, but now seeing kind of the level you guys are at, really, really cool. You guys have them competing at a high level, and so it's been a lot of fun. And I got a long way until the next time, but I'm excited to kind of see what happens next year as well.
Well, I sure appreciate you having me on. I mean that, and I'm deeply appreciative of the coverage for those athletes throughout the season. Track can be a tough sport, and that it can get kind of swept under the rug. And a lot of people maybe even go out to a meet and not really know what's going on, or when things are going to happen, or what's good or what's not good. But we have some athletes that we're really proud of, athletes that work their tail off, and the coverage is absolutely appreciated.
Yeah, that was my goal. When I set out doing this, it's there's a lot of kids and that that are playing a lot of sports, and some sports they don't get as many eyes as others, but especially whenever you have kids, on your track team over at Cape Central, Notre Dame, all these kids that I cover that are doing crazy stuff. Like just seeing,
Incredible.
We've got state champions, we've got a ton of kids in the state finals. We got, Notre Dame, their girls, they were finished top 3. Cape's boys finished top 4. Your boys finished 3rd. Like we have really, really talented kids, and there's only so many voices or pens out there that can write things, say things about them. You get a couple of articles maybe here about a Barrett Reagan, but it's like I'm just sitting here like somebody has to talk about this kid because he's doing things that you just might never see again. So that was always my goal, and I appreciate you always entertaining me and bringing or coming out here with me and talking stuff, and also entertaining me bothering you about it while you're at track meets, things like that too.
All good. You ain't bothering me at all.
Yeah, so thank you, Ty. I guess we're going to close up there. Appreciate everybody watching, everybody listening. As always, find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. If you don't, subscribe, you can hit the notifications, get all those things there. YouTube, Facebook, we'll post a video, all that jazz as well. And Ty will be one of hopefully several interviews I'm doing this summer, throughout the summer, kind of keep things rolling here. We don't have sports to talk about as much, so I'm going to have Ty, a bunch of other coaches, maybe a couple athletes here and there as well to talk to, maybe some administrators. So stay with us here. We're not going to stop the coverage just because it's summertime. So thank you, sir, and appreciate it.
That was good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir, and thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.